the morning.
I fill him in on what happened at the bar with the suit that hired us and the two guys that came in tried to take him away.
All right. So real quick, for Arona, the techie, the party was in a bar.
Minding our own business.
Minding their own business, sitting trying to get drunk on some cheap alcohol because everybody was pretty much broke.
Everyone was real happy because
They
we're
were
drinking some nice alcohol.
approached by a corporate in a suit, and requested to be hired. He requested to hire the group for protection, to protect him. Upon the deal being made, the amount of money in exchange for their help, a couple of heavies, some thugs, noticed the transaction, and more so, they basically went after the corp guy. In an effort they were basically going to pull out a gun and either kill him or kill the party. And Sarah Morgan was able to deter these thugs from pulling their guns by successfully executing a face down, where she basically intimidated them and said, you're gonna die basically if you fuck with us. So why don't you just walk away? So it went from a combat situation to a kind of a intimidation situation, and these guys had a job to complete, so they, rather than pull their guns, just grabbed the guy and tried to force him out the front door, in which turn the party decided, fuck that. Guns came out, sword came out, or machete came out, and within a short amount of time, the guys were dead, and the corporate exec guy was saved. Thinking that it was not a good place to hang out, the party made a departure through the back door into the alley, upon which time, as they were making a plan to determine, okay, what are we going to do next, the corp grabbed his throat, started choking, fell to his knees, foam started coming out of his mouth, and he fell over. They rifled through him, found a trauma team card that was blinking, as well as a small package and the business cards. Within a few seconds, the trauma team arrived. They took the stuff off him before the trauma team got there. The trauma team arrived, grabbed the body, departed, and then everybody kind of made their way back to the apartment. In the midst of all that, as shit went sideways inside the bar, the party did notice a darkly clad Asian gentleman, who also seemed out of place in the bar, just intently watched the whole scene unfold. And as things started to kind of come to a close, he just calmly stood up and walked out of the bar, didn't say anything to anybody, just kind of gave a furtive glance in the party's direction, and then just departed without a word, not to be seen again. And that brought the party back to back to the apartment here, where they found the power out, and of course that's when you were in and made your way up to the top of the floor here. So that brings it current as to everything that's happened prior to your arrival.
All right. I want to see what I can find out from this chip.
Are we saying you guys are crashing out then, and you're going to work on stuff in the morning, or are you going to try and find stuff out at like 1:30, 2:30, 2 o'clock in the morning?
I'm gonna head to bed.
Probably gonna crash out.
Right on. After a few more drinks, a little more discussion, everybody kind of passes out again. You guys are been crashing here pretty regularly. Sarah's the only one with an apartment, and it looks like she'll be able to make rent again for this next month, so that's good. You never know how it goes, though.
Tetsuo has claimed a sofa. Just saying. He is sleeping on a sofa.
Sarah welcomes anyone to take him. and goes to bed.
Fuck you. One thing I will say is that although he made some money from you carrying up the stairs and made money, I'm going to give money for rent as well. Tetsuo pay his way.
Before I go to bed, I take out the 1000 and I split it between. Would I give any to Arona?
Not from Tetsuo. Tetsuo's cut.
Well, it's either 250 each for the 4 of you, or 200 each for the 5 of you, right? So, however you'd like to do it, it'll only be a $50 difference per person.
Arona didn't earn it.
He was not
Arona
present.
Did not earn it. However, are you techie? You make me bomb. Say $35.
I take my 250.
You make me bomb. $35. He
I give
repeats
Renko
slower.
and Charlemagne their money.
Charlemagne still
I
passed out.
debate giving it to Tetsuo.
Your
All
friend
right.
don't speak English?
Make sure you guys adjust your Eurobucks to the thing. Now, Arona, Fellhammer, one thing I'll point to, I'm going to switch your sheet here real quick. If we take a look at your cybernetics, one thing that is commonly missed is if people have things like the machine tech link, the vehicle link, smart gun link, any sort of cybernetic that it connects to something, you have to have a neural-aware processor in order for that the neural-aware processor is what actually makes the connection between the machine and the man, the brain. So that's a requirement in order to have like the machine and tech link. And I was also going to mention the hidden holster and the storage space. Those two items are typically inside an actual cybernetic limb. So I don't know where you would install those without like you wouldn't really install them in your meat. They would actually go in like a cyber leg or a cyber arm. You didn't have it noted. You have also a tool hand noted on there. Again, that would actually attach to a cybernetic arm as an accessory. So one thing that I did, I wasn't sure about those few things, so I didn't change them, but I did add a neural-aware processor. Everybody that had one that would have required one, I just gave 2 for free because everybody had a fairly low starting amount of cash. So I added that in there. I rolled the humanity loss for you of 2, and then was going to check with you on the other items. Did you intend to have a cybernetic arm or something to that effect?
I didn't know that I needed one. I thought that was all sort of built into the item itself as how it would fit in.
A few of
Sure.
us got caught out by that. I got caught out by the same thing for a second.
Yeah, it's common. It's common. It's not a big deal. But I wanted to just mention it so we could rectify it or whatnot. So I comped everyone the neural-aware processor if that was tight on money. And for character development, if you want to have a cybernetic arm, I'll go ahead and comp that to you as well. The reason being is that everybody who has starting funds beyond $100 is basically getting it taken away to leverage the party into a situation where you got to get a job. You need to get a job hired fast because everyone's down on their luck. Things are tight. So I kind of indicated spend the money. But if you want to throw a cybernetic arm in there, we'll just deal with the humanity loss. Don't worry about the cost of it. We'll say it was part of your character development. And that would then make sense for you to have a hidden holster in the arm, a storage space in the arm, and the tool hand.
Let's do it.
Cool. One sec. Right or left arm?
Probably left arm.
Alright, and real quick for me, would you go ahead and roll there we go. 2d6. 9. Alright, now you're square. So now here is the other thing I wanted to address, and I'm gonna do this real quick. The the distribution if you want to, so you started with a 3 in empathy, and that drops you down to a 2 with the stuff that you have. So you're basically nearly cyberpsychotic as it is right now. If you want, I would say, if you want to adjust any of your points to shift a couple points from one thing over to empathy, because I think everything was done randomly and not assigned as it would normally be, that's perfectly fine. If you keep your empathy at 3 and it drops down to 2, it'll be very difficult for you to do anything where you interact with anybody else. So
Yeah, I was okay at a 3, but 2 is way too low. So I adjusted my attractiveness down and my empathy up.
Cool, and that makes sense. It like I said, it's it just makes things a little bit smoother. So the other thing now is Charlemagne.
Oi?
Everybody has a minimum of 60 character points in their stats. You came up with 44. If you want to leave it as such, that's fine. I'm not going to say you have to take more points. However, if you want to bring your character up to a level that is on par with the others, I would say that you could add, for me, I would just say add 16 points to your total score and divide it amongst whatever, up to your stuff up to a max of 16 points. That'll bring your character on par with where everybody else is at. If you want to leave it and play it as it came, that's totally fine too. However you want to address that. I just didn't want you to have to play through on a kind of a lesser footing than everybody else. It's your call.
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good with how it is.
Okay, that's cool.
I thought you got that your character points to 60, Hojo. How come you're down at 44?
Nah. Pretty sure I didn't.
No,
Because he probably forgot to add the 20, or he didn't hear the part where you add the 20.
no. This is where you guys did your intelligence, reflex, tech, cool, attractiveness, all of that.
Yeah.
And-
When we've been running through with people, like I was done with the ice as well before he pulled out. I told everyone that if their character points was below 55, they got a reroll.
Yes,
an extra reroll
that
on
is
top.
accurate.
So I'm sure that you had yours above 60.
No, he was at 44. I checked shortly after he made it, and then I double checked the other day, and yeah, they all add up to 44. He has like 3 in tech, 4 in attractiveness, 3 in luck, and 4 in movement allowance, and 3 in body type.
Hojo,
Okay.
take a reroll.
Hold on. I think I know what happened. When I put in all my stats at the beginning, there was already a number in there that was 50. When I finished, it never refreshed.
That could be.
No, I'm good. That doesn't bother me.
Okay, that's like I said, that's fine. If you want to bump any of them up, to be honest, what I would recommend is at least bumping up your body type and or reflex, because it will affect both of those two are really affecting your combat. As it is right now, if you because your body type is 3, if you go up and punch somebody in the face, you actually have a -1 to any damage you do.
That's
because
fine.
you're not that strong. And if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. I just want to make sure you're aware and have the opportunity to at least be on the same level as anyone, the rest of the group. So
Yeah, I'm good.
just want to, cool, very good. I just want to put it on the table. So I think that's all I had as far as wanting to go back through the character stuff anyway. So now that Fellhammer is here. So with that being said, moving into the next morning, you guys are looking at some of these clues that you found. Now, here's the thing.
Tetsuo passes out a kibble bar for everyone and
Sarah.
steals a morning coffee.
Miss Morgan.
Yes.
Your character has an intelligence of 10. You are a fixer. You wake up in the morning, and by the way, it's still raining. It's cold. The power is still out. The first thing you recognize is that it's like 60 degrees in your apartment and pretty cold. You think to yourself, damn, I should turn the heat on. Because it's a gas heat instead of anything running in the electric. So you can turn the heat on to warm it up in here a little bit. That's your first thought. Your second thought, as you're laying in bed, waking up with a bit of a hangover, is kind of coming back to that guy last night. This guy was saying he had information. He's saying that somebody wanted it. These two thugs went after him, trying to get this information. He was going to pay you $1,000, nay, $1,500 cash to just look over him for a few hours. The fixer side of you is thinking, there must be a hell of a lot more money at play than $1,000 or $1,500. If this guy was trying to sell this off or deliver it, maybe there is an angle there for you guys. Maybe there's something that can be more made of this.
Yeah, if he's willing to pay that much just to get it delivered to them, imagine how much they were paying him for the information.
Exactly. So that's what you wake up with on your mind, other than when you go to flip your blanket off, you're like, "Ooh, it's cold. I should turn the heat on." So those are the two things you wake up with. As everyone else slowly starts coming around, about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you guys are sleeping, and Sarah is laying in bed trying to fall back asleep, but her brain is constantly turning back to what angle is in play. What is the more money aspect of the situation. You guys are awoken to whoops. Not that last one.
Well,
It's
another
like a
morning.
movie scene.
Another morning in glorious Night City.
Yeah. But that's basically the sound of it right out the front door, or excuse me, out the window, down on the street below. Remember, you're 19 floors up, but you awake to the sound of automatic gunfire, pistols, submachine guns. Just a cacophony of gunfire on the street down below.
Is this more gunfire than usual?
It's a little more than usual. I mean, typically you'll have a gunshot, maybe 3 or 4, and then a return volley, right? This is a bit of an extended play. Sarah, you leap out of bed, you jump towards the window to look down, and you see that car that you saw yesterday, or a couple days ago, is actually driving past, and there's people that were hanging out of the car and shooting up the building across the street from yours. And as they are doing so, there's some people that were sitting on the stoop of the building, hanging out, trying to stay out of the rain, who started to return fire. You see a couple of people laying in the street. The car peels out and takes off. Again, it's not unheard of, but not exactly normal either. And that is basically what wakes the rest of the group up, to the sound of a firefight down below.
Tetsuo is unfazed by the firefight and takes it as the normal morning sounds, not noticing any difference between the casual gunfire.
Sarah shuffles into her stripy slippers.
I put the
Nice.
kettle on for some tea.
Nice.
Coffee is going to be had, and I'm going to hand out some kibble bars.
And I have an
kibble bar
electric
for
kettle,
everyone.
so the tea will be a lot quicker.
Charlemagne uncrusts himself from the stairs.
So you
Nice.
guys heard, but 1 kibble bar each for free.
What the fuck?
God damn.
I have a week's worth of supplies in the fridge.
Well, I have 175 kibble bars. It's not just for me, it's for in case any family shows up, alright? It's
Well, I don't really know the shitty kibble.
kibble bars, it's not like
You
for
want-
dog food kibble. it's-
She'll have the pre-pack. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Well, not knowing whether the gunfire is normal or not, I'm going to start looking at that chip.
Right on. Now, in looking at the chip, you know that there's nothing that you can really do for this. If you believe that if you were to try to take it apart, that it would most likely damage the chip. You're looking at what you believe is that you're going to need it to be plugged into a computer, and you're going to need somebody computer savvy to probably access whatever's on it. You suspect that if, given the situation that you were told about, you suspect, as the techie, that whatever is on there is highly likely to be encrypted.
It's what you got there, fuck off.
I will share what I have learned, which is you need a net runner and with decrypt.
Netrunner. We got Fixer.
I could say we find the netrunner.
Yeah, we're fine. And that
You're
runner.
going to make
We'll
it somebody
convince
you
them.
trust.
Oh, they'll trust us and we'll trust them. Or we'll shoot him and then we'll really trust him.
I say we find somewhere and then we call that number on the back of the card.
Sitting
Alright.
down with a cup of coffee and slouching down on the sofa that he's claimed over the last evening. If I remember correctly, I grabbed the card last, so I'm going to put it down on the desk since the card got brought up.
We should maybe make a move to the public library. There I can look through the library database to see if I can find any information on these names and maybe even the company. See what it's all about. From
So
there
it's,
we can also find a payphone.
Gotta.
I was gonna say, sounds like there's a number of things that you guys are looking to do, which is good. I'd say you probably could, at this point, split up and pursue a few different things, a few different leads. May not be quite as effective if everybody just piles together and goes in one direction. Um, each of you has a number of contacts in your life path that you could call upon. Each of you has, professional contacts that would be typically had. A techie knows tech type people, fixer knows fixer type people, that sort of thing. So you could always reach out to the people that you know and try to find information pertinent to the events that have occurred. So Sarah indicated of going towards the library. How about anybody else?
I'm going to go down to the city morgue and see if I can get any information on the body, because it's probably been transferred there by now.
I'm,
The guy who was poisoned, the guy who paid us.
I'm going to go down and check on my bike stored around the back of the building because of all the shit that goes around. I want to make sure it's locked and secured. And then when I'm down there, I'm going to have a quick look around and see if I can see anything suspicious as to why the power's up.
You had a bike that we could have hooked up for the power?
It was likely parked in the garage in the basement. Which was behind the closed car park door that was damaged.
Techie, I'm going downstairs. You come. You see.
Let me see if I can get hold of one of my Netrunner friends first. Then I'll come down there with you.
We're gonna run back to the bar and socialize for quite a while. See if I can make a list of Netrunners just in case the techie can't find someone.
Can I assume I have a duffel bag for all my gear? Or do I need to go get one?
If you don't have one, you don't have one. I know some people do. I know somebody took a bag.
I fucking bought a bag.
Wow, like a nylon bag or something.
I'm gonna buy a duffel bag on my way to the morgue then.
Right on.
That's suspicious.
You'll find one that. How big of a duffel bag?
Big enough.
Size for a body, since you're going to the morgue?
See, I never thought about that, actually. Are you announcing you're going to get a bag at all?
Oh! I'm buying a bag! Big enough to store a body!
Maybe it came through in casual conversation.
2 if I cut him up.
I am going to say I'm going to go down to the morgue and see if I can chase down any leads on the guy who dropped dead on us.
Chase down!
Oh, can I use my first aid kit on Renko since he took damage from the rat? Maybe bandage him up or something.
Yes, everybody woke up a little sore this morning, and you certainly can apply first aid to anybody that has taken a wound. If you do so, there's, just like any application of first aid, less chance of an infection, and it actually will heal. Anybody that took a wound would be healed by tomorrow, not today, but the next day.
Well, Tetsuo is fine. He feels fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to do that too.
Charlemagne's always been a little fucked up. It's alright.
Alright, so who was talking about the card? Somebody kept saying they wanted to look at the cards, the business card.
A mixture of myself and Morgan.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to take them to the library and look up the names and the company.
Gotcha.
Is there any way
All
you
right.
can check the data card, the data pen at the library as well, or is that perhaps not such a good idea?
Yeah, you can check. You can always check like to the what would be a data term. Um, Data term in Cyberpunk 2020 is, if you think about like the little box that you might go up and put 50 cents in and take out a newspaper from, it's the same concept, but it's an electronic interface.
See,
There's
Morgan
there's
actually has
this.
one of the data imports as a
Sure.
implant, but I never suggested that because it would be, I think it's to internal memory, and that might be sketchy.
No, it's all good. So what you would do, Morgan, is rather than going to like a physical library, you would go down to the street to a data term. You would connect to the data term. Now typically, anybody could go up to a data term and just press, the menu button and see what the latest scream sheets are. Scream sheets are like the front page newspaper. With a data term link, which you have, you're able to go deeper into the data term information. You're able to access through the data term, much like you are talking about going to the library. You can go in and look up certain things, look up different databases. You're likely not going to get into restricted access type situations, but maybe even possible with the right skill sets, right?
Okay.
So you take a look at the data term. You go through the first thing that you're looking for. You're looking up the Concepts Unlimited. Is the name on the front of that card. You find Concepts Unlimited is a company that helps facilitate business ventures in orbit. It is focused on taking terrestrial type businesses and exploring options for relocating or expanding into the orbital environment, into the space stations, into the Mars colony, into the lunar colonies. The gentleman, Frank Harns, sales manager, orbital division, appears to still be employed at the company, and you're not quite seeing any connection. Um, you kind of are getting the impression that the concept's unlimited. I mean, just you don't see a big connection right offhand. You could attempt to call any of the numbers on hand, but right offhand, that doesn't appear to be a real promising lead.
Okay, and what about the names on the back of the card?
Which one are you looking at?
John Bork.
John Borks. You aren't actually finding up. You do. Well, first, give me a roll for library search. Well, and let's see what you actually are going to be finding. To what extent?
18.
Yeah, you've actually got a good lead on a lot of this, but John Borks, his name is not coming up. Possibly a pseudonym, possibly an alias. There's no number listed for him, so again, and there's no address listed for him. So you're not quite sure how he would play into it, but you're not coming up with any information on this John Burks guy or John Borks.
Okay, well, how about if I search the number on the left?
The 215-938-7778. That number is appears to be a line. It's a data line from what you're finding that is a net address, and it appears to be for a R&D, like, but you're not 100% sure. It possibly, you believe after searching for quite some time, that it might be a net node number for the R&D division at NASA.
NASA's in the space company.
National Aeronautics and Space Administration, correct.
Okay, and that's where the suit said that he was from. The one chasing the nervous guy.
That is correct.
Okay, and can I search for Frida Louise and the number written underneath her?
Yeah, that is a listed number. It is for a business called Lois Lays.
And what's that business do?
It doesn't list it exactly. It's just under a business heading of Lois Lays.
Is there an area code for it?
It's local.
Is there an address?
There is an address for it listed.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I can find out from the data terminal, isn't it? Maybe, is there anything I can find out for image comms?
There's about 100 or 1,500 returns on it. It's too generic for it to zero in on anything specific.
Has there been any news articles on Frank Harn, the name on the front of the card?
You can find business profile. Looks like he started out with a different company, moved a couple times. It's looks like the number listed is still a valid number.
Is there an image linked with him so I can see if he is actually the guy from the previous night?
There is an image linked with him, and it is not anyone you recognize. It appears to be an older white gentleman, maybe in his late 50s. Looks like a corporate type that has been working for a very long time, but is not, is still in middle management sort of thing. Does not look to be a power player from his business profile page.
Okay, so I guess my next step would be to find someone who could maybe find out this information for me. Another fixer, maybe.
Renko.
Yep.
You were looking to run down to the morgue or possibly get in contact with somebody. You actually would not need to actually go to the morgue. You can certainly go down there if you want to visually inspect anything. However, You know people down at the morgue. So you can, based from when you were working at the police station, you know a couple of the people that work down there. You could either call them up or go down. Either way, but you would likely be well received.
I'm gonna make a couple of stops, and I want to go down to the morgue. I want to go buy a big duffel bag, and I want to go stop at a cybernetic chop shop and get a standard payment plan form.
All right. Both of those would be fairly easy to do. Any specific? What's the angle on the cybernetic payment form plan?
I'm gonna hand it to the guys at the morgue and say I'm working for a corporation now, and I'm here to take back the corporation's property, being the implants in the back of the two thugs' necks.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. Yeah, I mean, you're no problem. You can easily pick up a bag, probably 10, 15 euro for a large duffel. You can stop in, grab the form. They're like, yeah, sure, no problem. You know, they're trying to upsell you, trying to tell you all the stuff, and you're just like, stuff it. You know, like I just need the form. And you make your way down to the morgue. You get in like towards the front door, the front office, and you recognize the person at the counter. The gal's like, Renko, I thought you were fired. What are you doing down here?
Yeah, I got hired by a corporation to do some light footwork.
Oh, right on. Congrats. I'm glad you landed on your feet. What can we do for you today?
Two of our employees didn't return last night. I'm hoping that they ended up here, and I'm here to retrieve the company's property.
Well, we had a busy night last night. We had 7 or 8 people come in, so I suppose it could have been any one of those. Do you have a ID or name on the parties you're looking for?
They were employed by NASA.
Okay. Don't have any indication of corporate employees in here. Maybe they didn't have their corporate ID on them. Again, do you no ID, no information on their names?
No, I was just told to come down and check when they didn't report in last night. The job was dangerous, and I don't know. Maybe I could ID them. You want me to roll a fast talk or something?
No. I think in this situation that the gal isn't. I mean, you're not going to have to really talk her into it too much. She kind of looks at you a little funny. She's kind of shrugs her shoulders and she's like, "Okay, if you say so." She has some trust for you, being that she knows you. If you were just some guy off the street, she probably would take a bit more persuasion. But being that she's familiar with you, she'll buy your story. You know, it's not unheard of for a corporation to want their equipment back. So she motions to the door over to the side, and she says, "Downstairs. Tom's down there, so you know, tell him I said hi."
Thanks. We'll head downstairs. Say hello to Tom.
You make your way through the door into a hallway. There's a stairwell at the end of the hallway with some doors along the office doors along the hall. As you get to the top of the stairs, you get that familiar smell of a medical establishment, of chemicals, of just that. There's a very specific smell that you haven't smelled since the last time you were here.
Waxy. It's waxy. It's like warm wax.
Yeah, there you go. The stairs are, again, it's well lit, clean. You make your way down. You go through another doorway at the bottom and walk into the examining area of the medical examiner's office. The actual office would be one of the doors that you've passed. This is where they actually do the physical examinations before moving any body into the storage area, which is through a door in the back of this room. It's within this room that the gentleman she indicated previously, Tom, is conducting an examination. He is not the medical examiner. He's the medical examiner's assistant, and is often called on to do autopsies. Medical examiner is not out at the moment, or is not in at the moment, is out. But Tom is looking at this body. He looks up from you, lifts the magnifying glasses that are flipped down over his spectacles, and lifts them up and says, Renko, good to see you. How have you been?
Good, Tom. Just here to do some work, and I waved the form at him.
He too busy to really care with what you're doing. He just kind of says, all right, Renko, well, don't make a mess. I've got to clean that shit up, so have at it.
All right, I go in and I look for the bodies of the thugs and possibly the guy who died on it.
So the bodies of the thugs are there. They don't have much for cyberware. They have SmartLink, but they are stripped down. Their clothes have mostly been removed except for their undergarments. It looks like they are prepped for an examination, but the examination has not been completed yet. The one gentleman, both of them are very... You recognize them because the one guy is bruised and bloody and has a sword mark through his skull. The other guy is missing part of his head where he was finished off when he was shot and finished. So it's very clear to see that these guys were the ones that were from NASA and the thugs that came in to get the nervous man. However, the nervous man is not present.
Has any kind of file been put together that I can easily see on either of them?
They
like
both
fingerprints or anything like that?
Nope, that would all be done during the examination. The only thing that's on them, these guys have toe tags, and both of them are listed as John Does.
All right, I'm gonna look around for the ink pad that they used to get fingerprints. I'm gonna take fingerprints off both of them.
All right. Few minutes of looking, you're easily able to find what you're looking for. Being a cop, ex-cop, you are familiar with the procedure to get a good print, and before long you have exactly what you were after, legible prints of both bodies.
Right, do they have any kind of data storage capacity with their neural processors?
Does not appear so. Just their smart gun links. You don't see any extra like wetware memory or any sort of other interface that would be pertinent.
All right, then I'm just gonna leave. I gotta go up to the front desk and say goodbye to the woman at the front. I tell her, "Oh, the Mesa Corporation must have been mistaken."
Well, it happens. We get a lot of John Does through here, so I'm sorry that you didn't find your guys.
No problem, and I leave. If someone else wants to go through something before determine what to do with the fingerprint.
I'd like to make sure my bike's okay and see if I can see anything suspicious outside the building. Back around the back and by the garage.
Oh, man. I'm starting to fall asleep, guys.
You drink some coffee, damn it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Tetsuo, that's where I was heading next there. You do check the bike. It's been parked in the basement. You put it in the basement. It's fine. Nobody has access to it. It's a secure location. There's other cars and vehicles parked down there. Nobody's been messing with anything specifically.
Do I see any damage or anything, or any visible sort of... Basically, I'm looking for the source of that sound from last night.
No, nothing. Bike is fine. No issues. Nothing there.
Okay, well, that was the sum total of what my character wanted to do. He's waiting to hear back about this data chip and everything that Sarah found.
Right on. So Charlemagne, before you pass out on us here, you were gonna head back to the bar and check around there. You make your way over to the bar. You enter. This is the bar that you guys were in last night, the Blowtorch. As you're going in and checking stuff out, you sit down. You order a drink, either a coffee or a Bloody Mary, whatever you would have, and you're making small talk with the bouncer, or excuse me, the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling you about, oh man, I guess there was another shit show in here last night. These guys were after some guy, and the party jumped up and saved him, and shit went sideways, and god damn it, just another night in this hellhole.
Oh, it's always like this. You say it gets worse, you say it gets better. It's always like this.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The funny thing is we had one of our bartenders quit last night. End of his shift, he said something about striking it big and said he was gonna leave town. Took his name off the schedule and everything. Basically quit. That guy, I don't know. I'm sure he'll be back, but he said something about striking it rich.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was the strangest thing. I don't know, he's worked here for a long time, never done a damn thing with himself, and suddenly out of nowhere he quits and walks away.
Wouldn't happen to have a phone number for that man, would you? I'd sure love to have a new drinking buddy, especially one with that much cash.
He looks at you a little uneasy. He says, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Giving you his number is a good idea."
I promise you, it's just a friendly drink. And I guess lucky that would be good too, for me.
Give me a charismatic. Oh no, you've got charismatic leadership, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you. The difficulty for that, I think you've surpassed just with your charismatic leadership and your empathy. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty
So you automatically would succeed that roll, and he does give you his phone number.
Dear God, that works out. Excellent. Marvelous. And, you wouldn't happen to know any, net runners, would you? Not off the back of your hand, nothing?
Not in this bar, but, if you check out, if you check out the Green Roach, I'm sure you find something over there.
Oh, come on, I'm sure there's some kind of intellectuals in here. It's not a dump like you think it is.
Oh, you're so funny. No, seriously though, if you're looking for one of those netrunner types, I hear they all hang out and drink at the Green Roach.
What's in there for them?
I don't know, man. I work here.
Well, maybe you could escort me there.
He looks at you again a little slightly. He goes, "You do know I'm working, right?"
Flirt with him.
When are you gonna start working? You've been here, you've been chatting with me. I don't know, Chief. I don't believe you when you say you're working.
He just stands there and looks at you as he's cleaning a glass with a rag.
You look like you're having fun.
Anything else you're looking to ask anyone at the bar?
Probably spend the rest of the afternoon taking over the band there. See if I can earn some money. Or performers, at least.
Right on, right on. So, Arona and I, you were gonna actually try and find some information on some netrunners.
Yeah, I was.
Let's take a look here. You know offhand that the Netrunner crowd actually hangs at the Green Roach, is a popular bar that they would frequent. You also have some friends that are somewhat tech savvy, of course, and net runner savvy. And you believe that you would either do best to reach out to one of your contacts or to run down to that bar.
I'm going to start off with the people I know.
Right on. Give me a cool check, if you will. Oh, look at that. So, one of the things that you're able to find out, a couple of things actually. You're able to determine from talking to some people that the guy from the blowtorch, the one who was poisoned, he somehow survived. The trauma team was able to resuscitate him and is able to stabilize him. He probably won't be talking for a number of days, but they think that the poison was some particularly nasty synthetic poison out of a BioWare lab. Possibly somewhere from overseas. The contact that you were talking to heard about the scuffle last night and basically disclosed that he heard that somebody was poisoned, but they were able to be saved by the trauma team. You deduced that it was the guy that these guys were talking about. The contacts that you're talking to, though, aren't really able to give you much more information, anything specific about. Let me ask you this: do you have any specific questions that you're going to ask your contacts?
If they've had any experience decrypting some sensitive data.
Oh yeah, man! I'm all over that shit. That's what I do.
I want to see if they can help me decrypt the chip.
Yeah, God, bring it by, man. Bring it by my shop. So the guy you're talking to is like, yeah, bring it on over. You make your way over to his shop, 6 or 8 blocks up the road. You get in, you sit down, you show him the chip, and he takes the chip, looks it over, just kind of shrugs, shakes his head. He puts it into his computer and starts typing, and you see, God damn it! And he's like, man. He's like, I don't know what you got here, man. But he's like, what I have will do nothing for this. I can't get past the first line. He says, if anybody can crack this, the shark can. He's like, hang on a second. And he pulls out his cell phone and makes a quick phone call. And he's like, yeah, shark. He's like, yeah, I got a guy here, man. He's like, he's got this chip. He's like, this thing is heavily encrypted. I can't get, yeah. No, okay. All right. I'll send him right over. And he turns to you and he's like, man, he's like, if you're going to do anything with this, he's like, you're going to have to talk to that guy. Here, go down to the street, go to the door. It's a red door on a brown building, and tell the shark that, tell him I sent you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Good luck with that.
Thanks. I'm going to head for the red door.
Make your way over there with no issue. You get in, you meet the guy, you give him the same spiel, hey, I found this, we came across this, we need to know what's on it. He gets the chip, he puts it into his computer. Again, same thing. He starts typing. All right, okay. And all right, yeah, we're there. Okay, we're in. And he stops. The moment that after he says, he's like, okay, I'm in. He stops. He stops typing, and he is looking at the screen, and he just stands up and he takes the chip out of his computer, and he looks at you and he goes, hey, man, you got to get out of here with that shit. He's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. He takes you by the arm and starts leading you towards the door. And he's like, that shit's way too heavy for me. He's like, I cracked the first code line. He's like, I got into the second code line, and yeah, I want no part of this. Whatever you've got going there. He's like, I couldn't get past the second code line, but from what I saw, you got some heavy shit here going, man. He's like, whoever's going to be coming after this is going to stop at nothing if they put that kind of protection on it, they're going to stop at nothing to get that back. And he says, I don't want any part of it. He's like, you got to
give me an idea what it was.
He's like, I didn't get past the encryption. He goes, it's multi-layer encryption. He says, I got past the first encryption layer. When I hit the second encryption layer, he's like, man, I got nothing to get past that. Not here. He goes, you're going to have to go beyond me. He goes, and there ain't a lot of people that are beyond me. He goes, if anybody can do this code, he gives you the name of another guy. And he's like, this guy can probably do it. And gives you the information. Same thing. Gives you the address. You go down to the address. You're like, give him the same spiel. The guy takes a look at it. He goes, yeah, Shark called me. He says, I think I can do it. He goes, I'm almost sure I can do it. But it's going to cost you.
Going to cost what?
He says, let me take a look. He says, if what the Shark said is true, he puts it in his computer, and you hear him typing away on his keyboard. You see him typing, and he gets, okay. He's like, I'm past the first one. He goes, I'm into the second layer of the encryption, and he stops and he looks at you. And he takes the chip out of his computer and he stands up and he hands it back to you, and he says, 2 million.
What's the experience of trying to crack this code worth to you?
He says, I'm not touching it for less than 2 million.
All right, I got your brace. I'll let you know. and I will head back to the apartment. I do want to stop by a store on the way there and see if I can find some kind of battery thing that I can use to temporarily get past the door while the power's out and possibly hook up to the security system to give it backup power while the power's down.
Yeah, you can definitely stop by like any kind of hardware store, get like a car battery, that sort of a thing. You would definitely be able to bypass the lock and power the power supply, provided you pass a couple tech rolls, but that should be no problem for you on that.
Sounds good. I'll head back to the place.
We'll find Tetsuo already one beer down, just chilling around, not doing much.
You want me to make the tech rolls now?
Yeah, you can go ahead and make those. Go ahead and knock those down.
Which kind of techs?
Electronic. So the one would be a basic tech for getting the. Actually, do this. Let me look at your characters. Are you trying to? So. One sec. So for the there we go. Basic, electronics. So for bypassing the entry door, you can jury rig it so it is powered by this thing temporarily, or you can try to completely bypass it, like basically break the lock so it doesn't need power to, basically it'll be always unlocked. What are you going to try to do? Do you want to have like a temporary fix that allows you to go in and out, or do you want to just completely disable the electronic portion of the lock?
I'll set up the temporary bypass.
Alright, go ahead and roll me a jury rig. That didn't work. Hang on a second. $19. So that should have pulled from your tech. I should have added your tech. So 6 plus 8 plus the roll of 5 would be 19. And that is a success for you to bypass the door. So you're able to maneuver the door. Now, do you want to leave it so it is possible for other people to enter and exit temporarily, or is this something that you're just basically looking for if you're able to go through it or not?
I'm going to take the rig with me so that when people are with me, we can get through. But
Sure.
I don't want people we don't know coming through.
Very good. You've accomplished that. You move up to the upstairs, and you would need to roll electronic security on the next one in order to power the security system that's set up in the apartment.
All right, I'm going to set it up so that I can hook it in and turn it on, but I'm not actually going to turn it on because
Sure.
I don't have the codes.
Right. Whoa, no problem. Yeah, you crushed that one. So that one is set up very nicely, no issues whatsoever. So you have access to the door through the doorway as needed, and the power supply is running the security system at the apartment.
And now I'll just wait for everybody to get back, and I'll let Sarah know the upgrades I did to her system.
Nice.
So it's basically just loitering around, waiting to hear back from both Sarah and Arona on what they found. And then he does planning when checking out the address, evidently, in the end.
Charlemagne, are you going to head over to the Green Roach?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Bleh. Oh, man. I'm really passing out, guys.
That's alright. If you need to depart, that's totally fine.
We could, it has been quite a session. We could call it there for the evening.
Yeah, we could do that. Let us, let's see, let me